Hi guys, it's Gotchas and Fanfics again, and today, I have part 2 of Birds of a Feather, Hawk's ex-female reader. Female listener. Sorry, I'm probably going to mess up so many times. But this chapter is called Fly Away Birdie by Unhawk Ward Illness on Wattpad. Your POV. You groan as you watch Hawks pull out his radio set. Why did it have to end like this? You get your hero license once. You get caught one time. Your thoughts are cut short as you hear an ear-piercing shriek. Looking towards the noise, you suddenly think fate had other plans for you. Hawk's son gets ready to fly towards noise, but you beat him to it, taking off into the air and plumbing yet to catch more speed. You can hear Hawk's inadequate squawk fading away as you fly towards the sound. Time stops when you get there. You're too late. There's a dead body slumped against the wall. A crack in the skull is visible. Almost as visible as that dark crimson slash running across his throat, piercing deep to his older veins. I hate that. Police tape lines the scene as you start filling the report for the crime scene you perpetrate long gone. If Hawks didn't crash into you, this wouldn't have happened. It reminds you all too well of why you grew up alone. Nobody with real family love for you. Nobody who cared. Suddenly you get a flashback, thinking all about it. Here's a flashback to when you were 4. Mom, Dad, there's these weird bumps on my back. You skirted around the corner and ran across the house, searching for your parents. Mom, Dad, never received an answer. Starting to worry, you searched the house for your parents. You found them wrestling in bed. Mom, Dad, why are you wrestling? Can I join? You didn't know what your parents were doing, and didn't understand why your mother shrieked and told you to leave and shut the door behind you. Confused, you did as she said. Why was she mad at you? What happened? You didn't understand. And walked into your bedroom. Sulking, you couldn't play Fight 2. You silently cried because you were missing out on the fun. You didn't have many friends at school because nobody liked you because you were what they called a late bloomer. 15 minutes later, your mother and father walked in looking guilty for something they did. But you couldn't remember what, though. Your father spoke soon. Ryan, it's a bit too early to tell you about the birds and the bees. But since you couldn't wrestle, how about we go shop and pick out some new clothes for your quirk? You started jumping up and down excitedly. So that's what those weird bumps on your back were. Your quirk finally showed up. You agreed to go shop. You agreed to go to the shop. You finally wear clothes suited for your quirk. When you arrive at the shop, you and your parents notice a deathly silence. There was someone with a heartful aurora walked in the room. Silently, you walked around the shop, browsing for clothes. Found that looked nice, but couldn't pronounce a word. Comfortable. Ecstatic that you learned a new word, you ran to your parents and yelled your new word at them. Comfortable! You held your shirt for your mother to see and approve of. She quickly shoved you down and told you to stay quiet. Confused, looked at your mother only to see a grave look at your face. You pierced around the corner and seen your father facing a weird man. He had a weird stick aimed at your father's forehead. Curious as to what it was, you asked your mother. Mom, what is that weird stick thingy, and why is it aimed at Dad? You spoke a little bit too loud. Your father's face confronted into one of horror. and your mother let out a loud scream, her quirk activating. With the scream, a loud rumble shook when you finally find your spot and then couldn't pronounce it. A loud rumble shook the area with violent force, and he fell over. A loud bang resounded through the store. Your father fell to the ground. He covered himself with his dark, sleek wings. Not understanding what happened, and thinking your father had fallen, you ran over him to help, but you slowly started tugging on him up. But he didn't rise. Dad, why aren't you getting up? Come on, Dad, we have to finish shopping. No response. You unfurled his wings from around him and found a hole in the middle of his forehead. Brains and blood leaking out. You fell to the floor, crying. Your father's eyes rolled back further into his head when he had fell to the ground again. Lion, run! He could barely hear it, the ringing lingering in your ears. A second bang went off, and another thud was heard. Scared, you ran to your mother, only to find her the same as your father, her long, fluffy hair sticking to the blood surrounding the bullet hole. You heard footsteps getting more faint, and sirens started blaring in the background. Mother's eyes weren't rolled back into your head, so you started humming a tune, the tune they sung for you every time you had a nightmare, every time you came home with bruises and cuts, every time you needed comfort. Tears started pouring from your eyes as you released something. Your mother wasn't waking up either. She was slumped against the wall, dead, just like your father, who was on the floor, sprawled out with his wings curled. Tucked up in a blanket, you tried to sleep on this uncomfortable futon, but you just couldn't. Ever since your parents died, the bullying had gotten worse, and you had been moved to an orphanage. Your quirk was named Songbird, a tribute to your fallen parents. It was a combination of their quirks. Your father's quirk was shrill wings in the wind. His wing produced a shrill sound, able to be heard for miles. Your mother's quirk was symphony. She was able to hum or sing, and it would produce a shock wave or a sound wave, depending on if it was sung or hummed. If the frequency was high enough, she could temporarily send people into shock, dazing them. Silently crying, you stared at your ceiling, wishing that you'd never walked in on your parents wrestling in the first place. Your flashback has ended. As you finish filing the report, an uninvited guest shows up. Hawks. He walked up to one of the officers and started talking. Good evening, officer. I seen a woman of average height today with long HCEC eyes. Oh, for some of you that don't know, HC is hair color and EC is eye color. And long feathered wings. She claimed to be an underground hero, but I doubt it. She wouldn't have forgotten her license or costume if she was. Have you seen her? He sighs. He doesn't realize you're sitting right there in front of him. Right fucking there. You decide to scare him. Well, hello there, dear... Well, hello there, dear civilian that crashed into me. He jumps with shock, only just noticing you. When did you get there? Deciding not to reply to him, instead of leaving him be. You say, the entire time, dipshit. Be aware of your surroundings. Again, he lets out an ignorant squawk. He may be the number 2 hero, but nobody was immune to you. How did you even call Hawks a dipshit with a straight face after scaring him? Nobody knows, not even you. But you know one thing for sure, it's going to happen again. And that was the best thing ever. I loved reading it, but it so that was part 2 of Birds of a Feather, Fly Away Birdie. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you enjoyed my content, if you enjoyed this video, hit a like button. And if you enjoyed my content, consider hitting a subscribe button. Consider subscribing.